Hello there, good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Jackson Oyungu. Have you ever been asked by your child, where do children come from? Has your daughter ever come to you and asked you, Mom, I'm seeing some hair, in my armpit, or I'm seeing some stuff in my, in my lower private parts. Daddy, why is my voice changing? Why do I feel attracted to this lady? These are some of questions that parents really find so hard to discuss with their children. And of course, there's also cultural aspect of it. In some cultures, subjects or matters relating to sexuality are things that parents do not want just to talk about easily. And therefore, it becomes really hard for the young ones as they grow because they don't have a platform where people can freely talk to them on these issues. A platform where they can share what they are feeling, even if someone tells a 10-year-old girl or a 14-year-old girl that I love you. How does she respond? So we want to embark into a topic called sexual health, and we'll be talking about on several issues that are related to this kind of topic. And I think it will give a lot of parents freedom and leeway on skills on how they should be able to tackle some of these issues with their children. But before we get into that, in case you're watching this video for the first time, I want to urge you that you take a second or two, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and follow our channel so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube and Facebook will be able to notify you. And to my subscriber, I want to say thank you so much for your support. Now, today we just want to give an introduction on sexual health related issues. And today we want to talk about briefly on intimacy and sexuality. So what is intimacy? Intimacy is the close familiarity or friendship. The close familiarity or friendship that people form while they are working together. That is according to Oxford Dictionary. Now, what is sexuality? Sexuality is the capacity for sexual feelings. Capacity for sexual feelings. At one stage in the human development stage or stages, there is a stage where people or children or our kids begin to start having or developing sexual desires. Their genes will tell them that now they are ready to engage in sexual activities. So that is what we call, at that stage, that is what we call sexuality. The capacity for sexual feelings. Now, let's quickly talk about some of the forms of intimacy, or the types of intimacy, if you may wish. Number one is what we call intellectual intimacy. Intellectual intimacy is the fulfillment that people find while sharing ideas or opinion. When you start sharing your opinions or your ideas and you feel, like you've done something, you feel like, I've deposited knowledge. Even if people want to disagree with you, but the feeling, the happiness that you find after doing that is what we call intellectual intimacy. And then there's what we call emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is the safety in which people feel while sharing their issues. People have so much into their in their minds, and sometimes you may not know the right person to talk to. So when you find the right person to share your ideas or your feelings with, and you feel like a burden has been relieved or has been taken off your mind or off your head, that feeling is what we call emotional intimacy. Okay, I've spoken with someone, even if they haven't given me an answer, but at least someone gave me a listening ear and they've heard me. So that feeling is what we call emotional intimacy. For example, a son sharing the changes that are happening in his body with his father or his brother, and then they explain to him why these changes are happening. If that happened, this kind of intimacy will offer this person security and solace. And then the third form of intimacy is what we called experiential intimacy. This is a bond that people form during leisure activities. For example, if a mother and daughter are working in the kitchen and they are sharing responsibilities, or a father is working with the son in the garden and they are sharing a responsibility, or even if people are playing cards, that bond that people feel, or the bond that people form together as they do things, during their leisure time, is what we refer to experiential intimacy. And then number 4 is what we call sexual intimacy. So sexual intimacy is the act of indulging in sexual activities such as foreplay, kissing, touching people's private parts, etc. Now, of course, when people talk about intimacy, then the first thing that comes to your mind is sexual intimacy. But at least today you've known that there are also other forms of sexual intimacy. So that's at least 4 types of sexual intimacies. And now we want to quickly wrap up by discussing some of the fears that come with intimacy. People always have reservations. They will have things that will want to draw them back before they get into any kind of intimate relationship. So number 1 is fear of rejection. What if they reject me for having expressed my feelings? I know, especially for men always are afraid of telling a woman that I love you, because they think about what will happen. What if she says no? Will the relationship that we shall have built maybe for 5 years, 10 years, will she now stop talking to me? And I remember that very well, when I was growing up. You really like a lady, but you don't want to, you think if I go and tell her I love you, she may say no, and then that will be the end of it. So that fear of rejection may make other people to be afraid of indulging into an intimate relationship. Number 2 is fear of control. Some people just want to be free. They don't want to be held accountable. They want to do things by themselves. And such people may not be happy to involve in any intimate relationship because they don't want to be held accountable. And therefore, such fears are there, and we'll talk more in depth on how we can run away from such fears. And then there's a fear of abuse. Of course, some people have been seriously abused, both sexually and even physically in relationship. And therefore, some people will say, I don't want someone to start coming to, either physically or psychologically torture me, give me headache. I just want to, pressure free. So that kind of abuse will also may make other people not to get into any intimate relationship. And then lastly is the fear of isolation or abandonment. Other people may fear that once they express their feelings, they may be isolated by their friends, or they may be abandoned because they've chose to love someone. So basically that's the introduction on sexual health. But then we'll come back with other videos where we'll be discussing some of these issues at length. And I hope that this introduction will give you an overview of what is yet to come. Once again, in case you're watching this video for the first time, I want to ask you to take a second or two to share this video with your friends and family. Follow the page so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll make more videos on this topic. Stay tuned.